ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
हरि ओम। जय गुरुदेव। ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ नवमोऽध्यायः। राजविद्या राजगुह्य योगो नाम। श्री भगवानुवाच इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्। राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसूखं कर्तुमव्ययम्। अश्रद्धधाना पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि। मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्। भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थः ममात्मा भूतभावनः। यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायु सर्वत्र गोमहान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय। सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकां कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्। प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः। भूतग्राममिमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात् न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय। उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम्। हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते। अवजानन्ति मां मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावमजानन्तो मम भूतमहेश्वरम्। मोघाशामोघकर्माणो मोघज्ञानाविचेतसः राक्षसीं मासुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रिता महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिताः भजन्त्यनन्यमनसो ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम् सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्. So yesterday we had seen verse 4th and 5th. I will just browse through the last verse. न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थो ममात्मा भूतभावनः. And the beings do not exist in me. Look, this Aishwara connection to the Jagat. Myself is the creator of the beings, the sustainer of the beings, and yet is not residing. Why does Bhagavan say Mama Atma? So his Atma is Bhuta Vrita, not Bhuta Sthaha. Krishna is everywhere or nowhere. He is in no particular place, but the entire Jagat is pervaded by him. That is why he said, this is my glory, which is to be understood. Pashyame yogam aishwaram. With these two verses, Satya and Mithya are very clearly established. There is nothing more than me. I am the maker of everything, the sustainer of everything, and I am the one who dissolves everything. In fact, in me, there is no world at all. And all that is here in the form of this world is nothing other than me. This Bhagwan can say. And anyone who understands the Swarupa of Bhagwan as the Swarupa of oneself can also say the same. Everything that was said in these two is now illustrated with an example in the next words. यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायु सर्वत्र गोमहान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय. Yatha, just as, Mahan Vayuhu, vast air, Sarvatragaha, which goes everywhere, Nityam Akashasthitah, always exists in space. Tatha, similarly, Sarvani Bhutani Matsthani, all beings exist in me. Iti Upadharaya. Thus, may you understand. Yatha Mahan Vayuhu Sarvatragah Nityam Akashasthitah Tatha Sarvani Bhutani Matsthani Iti Upadharaya. Just as the vast air which goes everywhere always exists in space, similarly, may you understand that all beings exist in me. I repeat, just as the vast air which goes everywhere always exists in space, similarly, may you understand that all beings exist in me. The word yatha means just as. Shankara says here that it means just as in the world. Thus, just as in the world, air, vayu, which moves from one place to another, sarvatraga always exists in space. Nityam akash sthitah tatha. In the same manner, all beings exist in me, Ishvara, as Vayu moves from Kansas to New York or from there to India. It goes to a new place, but not to a new space. Sarvatra means everywhere, and Ga means the one who goes. Thus, Vayu is called Sarvatraga. It means that there is no place where he will not go. That is why he is also called Mahan. The word Mahan describes the dimension, that is, pervasiveness of Vayu. In terms of pervasiveness, Vayu is Mahan, great. So too may you understand that all beings remain in me. Let them go anywhere. They are still in me. Just as how Vayu, no matter where it goes, is never away from Akasha. Similarly, all the Bhutas, whatever form they may assume, remain in me. But there is no burden imposed upon the Atma by all these beings existing in it. There is no imprint left in space by Vayu. The space is limitless, all pervasive, and it is asanga, unconnected to Vayu, even though Vayu cannot exist without space. Such a beautiful sentence. I am reading once again. But there is no burden imposed upon the Atma by all these beings existing in it. There is no imprint left in space by Vayu. The space is limitless, all pervasive, and it is asanga, unconnected to Vayu, even though Vayu cannot exist without space. It has its being in Akasha alone, and it moves around in Akasha. The example is used only to illustrate that the Atma is also a Sangha. It is unattached to anything, yet nothing is ever away from the Atma. As Vayu moves all over, but never moves away from space, all the Bhutas can move from one place to another. Whole worlds may come into being and collapse, but they are never away from the Atma. If the soul goes from here to Brahmaloka, the whole movement is in Brahman, because the soul is Brahman, the Jagat is Brahman. There is nothing that is away from Brahman. If the self-conscious being moves from one place to another, the movement is in existence, the Satta. The soul is, the soul is, and that is Brahman Atma. Therefore, it can never go away from Brahman. When you go to Brahmaloka, you are still the same Brahman. Even here, you are Brahman. When you can recognize here Why should you go to recognize it? All movements, all beings, all transactions, all kinds of and goings and hidings are all in Brahman. I repeat, there was a breaking of voice. When here you are Brahman, when you can recognize this here, why should you go elsewhere to recognize it? All movements, all beings, all transactions, all kinds of comings and goings and hidings are all in Brahman. Why does he say that all of them are in Brahman instead of saying all of them are Brahman? It is to make it clear that I remains untouched. Saying in me is like saying in space. Just as Vayu moves in space, leaving no imprint upon space, in the same way, all these beings exist in Atma Chaitanya and yet leave no imprint on Atma Chaitanya. May you recognize this clearly. Upadharaya. When Bhagavan says, they exist in me, Matsthani, he is talking about the period of time when things exist, Sthiti Kala. At the time of their existence, all names and forms have their being in Param Brahma, like air moves in and has its being in space. But there are three aspects to any created thing: its creation, shrishti, existence or sustenance, sthiti, and its destruction, laya. Brahman is the cause for all these. If one were to ask what happens during the destruction, laya kale, that is told in the next verse. If you want me to repeat any paragraph before we go to the 7th verse, please let me know. Sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punasthani kalpadau visrujamyaham. Kaunteya, O Arjuna, kalpakshaye, at the dissolution of the cycle of creation, Sarva Bhutani, all beings, Mamikam Prakritim, to my Prakriti, Yanti, go, Punaha, again, Kalpa Adav, at the beginning of the cycle, Aham, I, Tani Visrujami, create them. Kaunteya Kalpakshaye Sarva Bhutani Mamikam Prakritim Yanti Punah Kalpadav Aham Tani Visrujami. All beings, O Arjuna, go to my Prakriti at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Again, at the beginning of the cycle, I create them. I repeat, all beings, O Arjuna, go to my Prakriti at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Again, at the beginning of the cycle, I create them. All beings, sentient and inert, Sarva Bhutani, go to my Prakriti. Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. He does not say to me, but to my Prakriti. In saying this, Krishna reveals a certain fact. When one cycle comes to an end, it is called Kalpakshaya, the completion or exhaustion of the cycle. At this time, all beings go into a state of dissolution in my Prakriti. We will not translate the word Prakriti here. Again, in the beginning of the cycle, Punah Kalpa Adav, I release them, I project them. Tani Visrujami Aham. Here, we prefixed to the verb srija in Visrijami means I create each one as it was in the previous cycle. So, the creation is the same as it was in all other cycles. To fulfill the commands of the jivas, again the cycle begins. Then it dissolves, and from the dissolved state again the creation arises. The created word has its being in me, and that word goes into my upadhi. What is this upadhi, and why should the Lord bring it in? Why should he not say it goes into me?
Dev Balaji, the voice is breaking. Can we read from the
Yeah,
beginning of this paragraph?
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. No worries. Sarvabhutani prakrutim yanti mamikam kalpakshe punastani kalpadau visrajamaham. All beings, O Arjuna, go to my Prakriti at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Again, at the beginning of the cycle, I create one. All beings, sentient and inert, Sarvabhuta, go to my Prakriti. Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. He does not say to me, but to my Prakriti. In saying this, Krishna.
Bela, there's a lot of break. Maybe Dr. Mara
Oh,
or someone can read. You can share the screen.
yeah. Sure,
Once
sure. I
the
can
internet is
Yeah.
stable, you can then take over. But it is not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of break in between.
Okay, sure, madam. Please kindly take over.
Yeah, I'll read it. Okay.
Yeah, kindly read from the beginning, Dr. You want to read the last word, last paragraph of the previous.
No, it's fine. Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punastani Kalpadav Visrijamyakam. Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Kalpakshaye, at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Sarva Bhutani, all beings. Mamikam Prakritim, to my Prakriti. Yanti, go. Punaha, again. Kalpadav, at the beginning of the cycle. Aham, I. Tani Vistrijami, create them. All beings, O Arjuna, go to my Prakriti at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Again, at the beginning of the cycle, I create them. All beings, sentient and inert, Sarva Bhutani, go to my Prakriti. Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. He does not say to me, but to my Prakriti. In saying this, Krishna reveals a certain fact. When one cycle comes to an end, it is called Kalpakshaya, the completion or exhaustion of the cycle. At this time, all beings go into a state of dissolution in my Prakriti. We will not translate the word Prakriti here. Again, in the beginning of the cycle, Punaha Kalpadav, I release them, I project them. Tani Vistrijami Aham. Here we prefix to the verb search in Vistrijami means I create each one as it was in the previous cycle. So the creation is the same as it was in all other cycles to fulfill the karmas of the jivas. Again, the cycle begins. Then it dissolves, and from the dissolved state, again the creation arises. The created world has its being in me, and the dissolved world goes into my ubadi. What is this ubadi, and why should the Lord bring it in? Why should not? Why should he not say it goes back into me? A pot, for instance, come out of the clay, come out of clay and goes back into the clay. The clay does not say it goes back to my ubadi. Shall I go further? The existence and dissolution of a given object takes place in the place from which it arises. I repeat that sentence again. The existence and dissolution of a given object takes place in the place from which it arises. When the pot is destroyed, it goes back to its cause, the clay, and from that same cause is its creation. From the clay, the pot is born. Into clay it dissolves, and while it exists, it has its existence in existence in uh, clay. What is So I'll repeat one more time. When the pot is destroyed, it goes back to its cause, the clay. And from that, the cause is its creation. From the clay, the pot is born. Into clay, it resolves. And while it exists, it has its existence in clay. Hmm. What is under discussion here is the dissolution of the world into the Prakriti of Bhagavan. Since he says it goes into my Prakriti, it can be like saying it goes into my bank account. I am not my bank account, it is very clear. Similarly, here, Bhagavan's Prakriti is the place where the created world resolves. He says the existence of the world is in me, Mastani, but its dissolution, Laya, is into my Prakriti. This seems to be a contradiction because we have seen that if a thing has come from a given material cause, into that it resolves. If from Ishvara the world has come, into Ishvara the world should go back. But instead he says it goes into my Prakriti. This is not a contradiction but a deliberate expression. We will see why. Why does Bhagavan say my Prakriti? When Bhagavan says all these things have their being in me, Mastani Sarva Bhutani, are they attributes of Paramatma? If so, Paramatma has the intrinsic attribute of the Jagat and is always Saguna. So, if so, Paramatma, I'll repeat that again. If so, Paramatma has the intrinsic attribute of the Jagat and is always Saguna. If that is the case, Paramatma can never be free from those attributes. But our experience is entirely different. If we analyze the nature of Atma, We find it is from all attributes. So we find it is free from all attributes. At any given moment between two thoughts, what exists is Paramatma, which is Chaitanya, free from any form of limitation. Intrinsically, Paramatma is free from attributes, Nirguna. Only because of that is moksha is possible. If Paramatma is intrinsically free from the Jagat, when Bhagavan says Mastani, it exists in me, it is only through some other factor. That factor is what we call Maya. It is the Maya Ubadi that makes Paramatma into Ishvara. Purely due to Ubadi, Paramatma becomes all-knowing and all-powerful, the creator of everything. Due to similar type of Ubadi, you have a limited knowledge, Alpa and so on. As Atma, your Swarupa is Satchidananda. It is pure consciousness, which is Satya and limitless. Then how do you become one of limited knowledge, limited power, limited pervasiveness? Due to Upadhi, Upadhi gives rise to point of view. Upadhi gives rise to a point of view. You view Atma from standpoint of physical body, mind, sense complex. Then say, I'm limited, etc. It is an unfortunate statement because it is not true. Atma has not become Alpajnana. It continues to be Chatchit Ananda. That is why I can say Tattvamasi, you are Satchit Ananda. If someone asks, Swamiji, if I am Satchidananda, how do I become Alpajnana? The question itself is wrong because Satchit Ananda does not become anything. If you are Satchit Ananda, you cannot become Alpajnana. There is a notion that one was originally Satchit Ananda and gradually over a period of time, due to number of births, become Alpajnana. Am I okay to read further? You guys want to repeat? You want me to repeat anything? Let me know, please. Or you want to say anything? Okay. There is a notion that one was originally Satchit Ananda and gradually over a period of time, due to a number of birds become Alpajnana. Then it has to
Dr. Mara, it is Alpagnya.
Alpajna.
Yeah, Alpagnya. That Atma Bhut Alpagnya.
Okay, God, sorry. I thought it was that something is missing there.
No problem.
Okay. Alpajna. There is the notion that one was originally Satchit Ananda and gradually over a period of time due to a number of births become Alpajna. Then it has to evolve back. The contention is that we are all in the cycle of evolution. Evolution of what? If Satchit Ananda is to evolve, what will it become? Now it is limitless, free from attributes. What is the part of it that evolves? How can Sat existence evolve? The evolution of existence is only destruction. But this is an existence that is limitless. There is no possibility of evolution for such an existence. Can consciousness evolve? Something that has an attribute can evolve. But consciousness, which is pure existence, free from any attribute, cannot evolve. And as we have seen, it is limitless. Thus, there is no evolution for Satchitananda. Anything within samsara can evolve. You draw an arbitrary line, and any development beyond that you can call evolution. This human body may be an evolute because the human mind has a better capacity than the minds of other life forms. But the one who determines that this is an evolute is Alpajna. And when you say, I am of limited knowledge, Alpajnaham, and Aham remains Satchit Ananda. The property of limited knowledge, Alpajnatva, is purely an attribute, an incidental attribute, attributed to you by taking a point of view. Again, the property of limited knowledge, Alpajnatva, is a purely an attribute, an incidental attribute, attributed to you by taking a point of view. For example, a modern artist may draw a table from the perspective of one who is looking at it from a position of lying down. It may not look like a table at all. It is just a perspective. That kind of table is not found anywhere. Similarly, you look at Satchit Ananda from the perspective of your living physical body, your aging brain cells, etc., and say, I have limited power, limited knowledge, limited pervasiveness. It is a perspective. Although the drawing had something to do with the table, this perspective has nothing to do with the table. The same is true with Satchit Ananda Atma. It being limited is your view of yourself. It is due to Ubadi and has nothing to do with Satchit Ananda. The same Satchit Ananda appears as thought, it is Alpajna. Appears as though it is Alpajna because it is limitless. There is nothing that is apart from Satchit Ananda. As the cause of everything, Satchit Ananda has to assume the status of being all knowing, almighty. This we call God, Ishvara. Again, as a cause of everything, Satchit Ananda has to assume the status of being all knowing, almighty. This we call God, Ishvara. But the attributes like all knowing and almighty are incidental attributes from the standpoint of the Jiva's way of looking at the world. And when you look at this world, the same Satchit Ananda becomes the onlooker as well as Ishvara, the cause of everything. All names are his names, all forms are his forms. Therefore, you have any number of words to describe Ishvara, all due to some Ubadi called Maya Ubadi or Prakriti Ubadi. So nicely Swamiji taking to the point. Therefore, when Krishna says, as Ishvara, Mastani Sarvabhutani, they are in me, he is including the Maya Ubadi in that me. Only then Can he say all the beings have their basis in me? He becomes the cause of everything due to Maya Upadhi. Through Maya Upadhi alone, all the beings have their being in Paramatma. By itself, Paramatma is free from the creation because it is free from all attributes. So with the Maya alone does Bhagavan say, Mastani Sarva Bhutani. When I look at Paramatma as the cause of the entire Jagat, then Maya exists in Paramatma as its Shakti. In Maya alone, they exist unresolved, and from Maya they are born. So nicely he said. We still have another couple of pages to go. Shall I read or anything? Anybody wants to know anything or want me to read anything from so far what we read?
It's
So we
very
read,
yeah.
yeah, it is very nice. Why does Bhagavan say my Prakriti? So we are talking about that. I think we have to read one more time to really know all the details, like to say it back. But so far it's nice. Are Bhagavan and Maya two different entities? Now we have a problem. There is no other thing except Atma, Brahman. So again, there is no other thing except Atma, Brahman. It is non-dual. If Brahman has Maya in itself, Brahman is one thing, Maya is another, and we have two things. If Brahman has Maya in itself, Brahman is one thing and Maya is another, and we have two things. If fundamentally there are two, there is multiplicity, and that is not acceptable because Brahman is non-dual, Advaya. Advaya. But when we say one is Brahman and the second is Maya, we really do not have this problem. That is because Maya is an interesting word. In Sanskrit, it is defined as follows. Yamas, Yama, Yamasa Maya. Yamasa Maya. That which is not that which is not is Maya. That is to say that Maya has no independent reality. It really does not exist. But from one standpoint, there is Maya. From the other, there is no Maya, only Brahman. If you look at Brahman as the cause of creation, it has Maya. So going back again, if you look at Brahman as the cause of creation, it has Maya. That is why it is said, Maya Sabalam Brahma. From the standpoint of itself, there is no Maya. There is only Satchit Ananda. Maya is not an independent object in enjoying a reality like Satchit Ananda Atma because Maya is Mithya. Mithya is defined as something that does not exist apart from Adhisthana, from the Adhisthana on which it is dependent on. Mithya is therefore Adhisthana Ananya. Just like your skirt, which has no existence apart from its fabric, similarly, Maya is not a substance separate from Brahman. So Maya is not a substance separate from Brahman. If it exist in its own right. You can say Maya and Brahman together create the world, and their getting together is the cause for creation. But they are not two independent factors, because Maya is not independent from Brahman. And we've seen this before, right? Like, that is why we can worship the Lord as male or female. The string of 1,000 names, Sagasta Namavali, of any Devata will invoke that particular Devata as the one who is the creator of everything, sustainer of everything, destroyer of everything. That is, who is everything. Then for the Devi, the goddess or Maya Shakti, the string of 1,000 names will say the same thing. She is the creatrix of everything, sustainer of everything, the destroyer of everything. She is everything. This is another way of looking at the fact that there is only Ishvara. There is Ishvara from the standpoint of power, Sakti, and Ishvara without Sakti. Again, there is Ishvara from the standpoint of power, Shakti, and Ishvara without. Okay, sorry, I'll take it back again. There is Ishvara from the standpoint of power, Shakti, and Ishvara without Shakti. To think of two different entities, Ishvara and Maya, has no meaning at all, because Maya, the Shakti, is not independent of Ishvara. So repeat again, to think of two different entities, Ishvara and Maya, has no meaning at all, because Maya, the Shakti, is not independent of Ishvara. Like the capacity to burn is not independent of fire. Maya Shakti is not independent of Brahman, because it is the power of Brahman itself. From the standpoint of viewing Brahman as the cause of everything, you say it is Brahman with the power of Maya. Maya Sabalam Brahma. Maya Shabalam Brahma. But there is no problem of duality. One is Satya, the other is Mithya. And Satya plus Mithya is still one Satya. That's nice equation. Again, one is Satya, the other is Mithya, and Satya plus Mithya is still one Satya. So basically, they're talking about Brahman and Maya as two separate entities. Are they two separate entities? But it's not.
It's
So,
like a binary equation, 1 plus 0 is 1.
I'm not a math person, so it is kind of hard to understand this. But anyway, sounds like he says, yeah, right. That was nice. So basically, he's saying the Brahman is the creator, but then he makes this Maya. It's an Upadi, right? Maya Shakti, his power that creates this. The Maya Shakti creates this world also. So you are saying here 1 plus
Means
Satya.
positive plus negative is positive. 0, 0 is 0. 1, 1 is 1. Like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. So Satya is one is Satya, the other is Mithya, and Satya plus Mithya is still 1. You're right. 0 plus 1 is also 1. When you stand before a mirror and see your reflection, there appears to be two of you, two heads, two mouths, to feed the to feed and hundreds of other problems. How can you have two heads there? When you stand before a mirror and see your reflection, there appears to be two of you. Okay. Two heads, two mouths to feed, and hundreds of other problems. But you know it is not so. You know there is still only one you, because you know that the reflection is mithya. One plus one does not make two here. Even if you stand in a house of mirrors and see infinite reflections, there is still only one you. The only difference is all the images in the mirror are identical, and in Ishwar's Srishti, no two things look the same, not even two thumbs. Wow. The variety is infinite. Moreover, none of the reflections you see in the mirror is taken seriously. You cannot be detracted from and improved upon in a mirror. If you go to one Upadhi, a concave mirror, and see yourself elongated, and you go to another Upadhi, a convex mirror, and see yourself widened, you do not get alarmed, you are amused. Why? Because you know that it is mithya. If it were real, it would be a problem. Being mithya, there is no problem. Mithya undergoes changes, Satya remains the same. That means in the Satya Vastu, there are no changes. Nama Rupas change, Vastu does not. It is cause of all of them. It is the cause that never changes. Therefore, Paramatma plus Maya does not make two. One reality plus an infinite number of Namarupas is still one. See nicely that example of the mirror reflection. From this standpoint alone, Bhagavan says, they resolve into me. Only because of this mithya was it said, Mastani Sarva Bhutani. And from his own standpoint, Nacha Mastani Bhutani. Again he says, Kalpakshaye Sarva Bhutani Mamikam Prakritim Yanti. Again at the end of the Kalpa, all the beings resolve into my Prakriti. To say they go back to my Prakriti or they go back to me are both right, because the Prakriti has no separate existence other than Ishvara. When it is proved that creation is mithya, we have to accept a mithya cause, which is a Maya Upadhi, another word that is used for Sakti of Brahman. So Maya Upadhi is otherwise known as Sakti of Brahman. Because of this alone, Brahman becomes the cause. Brahman, however, does not undergo any change and is therefore, as we have seen before, Vivarta Upadana Karana. Again, Brahman, however, does not undergo any change and is therefore, as we have seen before, Vivarta Upadana Karana. Brahman is both the efficient cause and the material cause. But how can Brahman be the material cause, which must necessarily undergo change to become this variegated world? Even though the creation is non-separate from the cause, Brahman cannot undergo even an apparent change to create this world. We saw that Brahman remains the same, and therefore we say it is Vivarta Upadana Karana. So again, we saw the Brahman remains the same, and therefore say it is Vivarta Upadana Karana. So the Karana is the cause. There are two types of Upadana Karana. One is Vivarta Upadana Karana, and the other is Parinami Upadana Karana. When the thing that is the material cause undergoes a change to become the effect, then it is called Parinami Upadana Karana. Again, I repeat this. When the thing that is the material cause undergoes a change to become the effect, then it is called Parinami Upadana Karana. And if it does not undergo any change to become the effect, it is called Vivarta Upadana Karana. Now, from the standpoint of the world, Brahman is the Vivarta Upadana Karana because it is the cause that does not undergo any change. But whatever changes that are necessary are undergone only by Maya. Therefore, Maya is the Parinami Upadana Karana for this world. Thus, if you say Brahman is the material cause, then it is Vivarta Upadana Karana. If you say Maya is the material cause, it is the Parinami Upadana Karana. Thus, the Brahman undergoes no change and at the same time makes all changes possible. It is like how the rope is the Vivarta Upadana Karana for the snake, and consciousness is the Vivarta Upadana Karana for your dream. The dreamer is Chaitanya. The dream world is Chaitanya, and the dream experience is Chaitanya. But without Chaitanya, there cannot be any creation, and therefore Chaitanya is Vivarta Upadana Karana. And your own memory becomes the Parinami Upadana Karana. Similarly, Brahman alone is the cause for the whole creation as Vivarta Upadana Karana. And Maya is Parinami Upadana Karana. Thus, through the Upadhi, it becomes efficient cause, Nimitta Karana. Through the Upadhi, it becomes material cause, Upadana Karana. So this is so nice. I think we have to read it again to really summarize this thing. I don't know what time it is. 8 o'clock already. Wow. Let me read this one paragraph one more time. Thus, Brahman undergoes no change. One thing is, it doesn't undergo any, Brahman does not undergo any change, and at the same time makes all changes possible. It is like how the rope is the Vivarta Upadana Karana for the snake, and consciousness is the Vivarta Upadana Karana for your dream. The dreamer is Chaitanya, the dream world is Chaitanya, and the dream experience is Chaitanya. But without Chaitanya, without the Chaitanya, there cannot be any creation. And therefore, the Chaitanya is Vivarta Upadana Karana. And your own memory becomes the Parinami Upadana Karana. Similarly, Brahman alone is the cause for the whole creation as Vivarta Upadana Karana, and Maya is the Parinami Upadana Karana. Thus, through the Upadhi, it becomes efficient cause, Nimitta Karana. Through the Upadhi, it becomes material cause, Upadana Karana. I think we read this somewhere else, Nimitta Karana, Upadana Karana. No, I can't remember. Anyway, Bhagavan points out in the next verse that he is the efficient cause through this Maya. So, Nimitta Karana and Upadana Karana, material cause. So then, so Vivarta Upadana Karana means he does not undergo any change. And then Parinami Upadana Karana is it undergoes change. So that is Maya. So
Yeah, very well read. Dr. Mara, would you like the verses what we covered? I will just, before we
yeah, anybody
close
want me
down
to
for.
read anything? I know we want to, now it's 8 o'clock already. We want to uh, take away whatever you guys
Yeah.
learn from this. If not, we can read it again. Mm.
Yeah, kindly read just the verses and the meaning before we close for the Manana.
So you're going to verse 5?
Yeah, we started with the.
Started from here, okay. Nacha
No,
masta,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
please. Sorry.
Nacha mastani bhutani pashyami yogamaishwaram bhuta pranna cha bhutasto mamata bhuta bhavanaha. And the beings do not exist in me. Look at this Aishvara connection of mind to the Jagat. Myself is the creator of beings. Myself is the creator of the beings, sustainer of the beings, and yet is not residing in the beings. Oh, okay. Now you go to the sixth one. Okay. Yata kasa, okay. Yata kasastito. Yata kasastito nityam. Vayugu sarvatrago mahan. Tata sarvani bhutani. Mastani iti upataraya. Justice.
Matsthanithyupadharaya. Matsthanithyupadharaya.
Okay. Okay. When I see that it was split into iti upataraya, that's how I did it. Okay.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Okay. Just as the vast air, which goes everywhere, always exists in space, just as the vast air, which goes everywhere, always exists in space. Similarly, may you understand that all beings exist in me. Iti upadaraya means thus may you understand. Okay. Sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau sirjamyakam. All beings, O Arjuna, go to my Prakriti at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Again, at the beginning of the cycle, I create them.
I
So I
think
want to,
we completed till 7th, right?
right.
Yeah.
So on the seventh thing, the under the headings, he talks about the Prakriti, how why he's saying Prakriti and stuff dissolving in me. That is the first he explains that part, and then why are Bhagavan and Maya two different entities. and then going on to all that. It's okay. That was really nicely explained with the examples he given about the mirror, reflection, what is Upadana Karan, what is the material cause, what is the efficient cause, and all that.
Yeah, we will just close our eyes for a few seconds before we share our takeaways. And we have already, I think, covered in chapter 7th about Prabhu's Maya, right? Mama Daivi Hesha Gunamai, Mama Maya Duratyaya, Mame Vai Prapadyante, Maya Metam Tarantite. So, with that, we will just close our eyes and enjoy the Ishvara's Maya, and then we will take our shares, please.
Jai Gurudev. Ya ma sa maya. What is not, that is maya. And that example, that the mirror example, it as though seems as if there are two, but there is only one. So the same thing, when you extrapolate that to the Jagat, it is as though seen, as though it is there. But what is the truth is just one, is that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The Jagat is just like a projection from there. And that aspect of Ishvara that makes this possible, that Shakti, that is Maya. So you cannot separate that from him. I was just thinking of the Ardhanarishvara, where you have the male principle and the female principle. They're combined together. You cannot separate them. They're one person. It is one being. So as long as we do not cross Maya, we are under the influence of Maya, we will continue to see this duality. Crossing over Maya or understanding Maya is when it will take you to that state of Advaita. But as long as you're under the influence of Maya, this duality is inevitable. Although 1 plus 1 equals 1.
Can you
This
say that again?
Vedanta
Sorry,
mathematics, the mathematics of Vedanta is 1 plus 1 equals 1. It is not 2. Yeah, please everybody share your takeaways.
in the last couple of lines you had said, I missed it. So can you say that again? I'm sorry. I know you the equation stuff, but then before that you said something.
Yeah. I think as long as we are under the influence of Maya, this duality is inevitable.
Right.
You see the other. That you see that separateness. And even so, we think me, I, you identify yourself with your mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, and you see Atma as separate. You see, as if, like in the previous verses we learned, through the lifetimes we've been identifying ourselves with this body. So you think you are the self, and that there is the self that you have to reach, something else. So that difference will continue as long as we are under the grip of Maya, under the influence of Maya. Yas,
Revelation.
ya ma sa maya. That which is not,
Not.
that appears to be, is maya.
Yeah. The yesness is Satya and not is
Correct.
Maya. Yeah.
Correct.
So one quick, I keep thinking about Ubadi. I'm forgetting the meaning of it. Can you say when we say Ubadi means Karana? I mean, sorry, not Karana. It's um, I always thinking.
Vivat upadana karana, parinami upadana karana.
No, not that one. Like Ubadi by itself means like it's like a branch of something. In this particular one, it goes into my Ubadi means like it goes into that world he created. That is the Maya. That extension of him or something.
Yeah. If you're
Mm.
asking about the exact meaning of Upadi,
Mm.
I can only give an example.
Right.
Like,
I know we
the
read this Ubadi so many times. I
correct.
can't get into my head like that.
Jai Gurudev Maharaj, Jai Gurudev Maharaj. You are given the upadhi of doctor.
Oh,
Are you?
okay.
It is
Like the
the like
extension of myself. Okay. Mm-hmm.
you have been given bestowed upon you by your university the upadhi of
Okay.
doctorate.
I see. Okay.
Like that, all the upadhis are there, which is not you actually.
Mm.
The clothes are on you, but you are not the clothes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like that, the upadhis are exactly, maybe little bit more elaborate, maybe tomorrow or something,
Mm.
Brahmaraji or anybody of us will come out. But I think now little bit you got this thing, no?
Right. I got it.
Doctorate
Thank
is
you.
your upadhi. Doctorate
Mm-hmm.
is your upadhi. Jai Gurudev.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. In the same token, it says where he says that creation, the first word Sarva Bhutani, all goes into my Prakriti, right? Sarva Bhutani Prakritim Yanti Mamika. So all goes into me. And Kalpakshaye, they come back again. But as it was created as before, like when they created as it before, like Visarjam Yaham. Because to fulfill the karmas of the jivas, again the cycle begins. So he even didn't forget to say that here. And in dissolves, and the dissolved state, again the creation arises. So even if it dissolved, it doesn't completely dissolve everything. It you have to come back with the same karma of that, and you have to go through that samsara. And then it goes into my prakriti again. He explains like as a bank account. And that was another example was given as a bank account. He's not. Uh, I'm not my bank account. It is very clear. Similarly, here, Bhagavan's prakriti is the place where the created world resolves. He says the existence of the world is in me, Mastani, but its dissolution, Laya, is into my prakriti. That's where the contradiction was, where he explained it again. If the Ishvara, the world has come into Ishvara, the world should go back. That goes into my prakriti. That's where the Maya part, you already explained that one. That was nice. I think we have to read this one more time and try to get the handle on it. Adi Shankara, he's really great, trying to explain everything. And then Swamiji also wrote another, every two lines has like 3-4 pages. Anyway, it's 8:15. We want to see the 6th chapter. Or anyone else want to say anything? Go ahead.
Brahmaraji, you want me to share chapter 6? If you are busy, I can share the chapter 6 also.
No, I'm sharing it, Bill. I can share it. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, Brahmaraji, we can
So
see the
yesterday,
screen.
Yeah.
yesterday we did this factor of pramadhi balavadridam, this mind, vayoriva sudushkaram. Arjuna confesses, he says, you're asking me to look at the sameness, but it's so difficult because my mind is full of agitation. It is pramadhi balavadridam. Vayoriva sudushkaram. Therefore, it is so difficult to control, like Chanchalam himana Krishna pramadhi balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. So we looked at the words pramadhi balavadrida as the attributes of the mind. And we saw how, in contrast to hunger, sleep, sadness and anger require a certain, they are dependent upon a certain way of thinking. They are not natural instincts. They're not instinctive like hunger and sleep. Whereas when you become sad, it is because of the way you think. If you're angry, it is because the way you think. It is the line of thought that makes you angry. And then we also saw that each of us has the cultured person within us and the uncultured person. It is as if one person with two faces. So when we are under the grip of anger, and these emotions, they just come as a storm. They don't take your permission. They don't need a visa. So when they come, they overpower you so much, and then you end up saying things that are very unbecoming. So that is why it is called pramadhi balavat and dridam. They are kind of rooted. It is like your sadness requires. That rooted is, dridha is just like how the silk that winds around the worm, keeping it inside the cocoon until it grows adequately to come out. So this dridha is also translated as well-rooted. So this mind has its own roots that seem to be so deep that nothing is strong enough to uproot it. No matter what, even if you want to do japa to handle this mind, ultimately you might be doing the japa chanting, but the mind takes its own flight. And these roots are in childhood. From the time we are born, we actually born with a set of vasanas, and the child grows with its own limited perceptions, and so many are added along the way. So this is called the psychological mind. And this is the mind that is dridha, that is well-rooted, that controls everything. And to control such a mind, Arjuna says it is something very difficult to do. Dushkara means difficult. Sudushkara means very difficult. And just like how you want to capture air in your hand, it is as difficult as you wanting to capture your the air in your hand. It is, no matter what you do, the air just disappears. It's difficult to control, to hold it in your hand. So therefore, what is the reason for all of this? Which is why the mind is also compared to a monkey. Stress need not be a factor of agitation. Therefore, to have to do something with this mind is no small job, Arjuna said. And he lived in an era where stress was not the concern it is today. Since the society was not under so much pressure as it is today, Arjuna had a lot of leisure and did not have all the hurry that we have today. But still, he had a mind, albeit a very cultured mind, that was chanchala. And if Arjuna's mind was chanchala, you can imagine what the mind of his cousin Duryodhana must have been like. Arjuna at least had no conflicts because he did not live a life of adharma. He always lived a clean life, an unquestionable life, which meant that he slept well because he did not nurse any guilt inside. Whereas Duryodhana was a guilty person from head to foot, with all the conflict that goes with a life of adharma. Arjuna was a man given to a life of dharma, right conduct and right values, and great achievements also. Thus, there was nothing for him to smart or feel spiteful about. He was successful in all his pursuits and had a lot of titles showered upon him. In other words, he was a master of his age, a man who, on any given day, could be proud of his life and his achievements. Everyone in the society looked up to Arjuna, even before the great war of Mahabharata took place. He was a versatile person, a man of music, dance, archery, and other disciplines of knowledge. He was a great warrior and also a prince. But even with all these qualifications, Arjuna's mind was chanchala. Arjuna's problem is universal. If Arjuna's mind was nothing but agitation, what about those minds given to the modern phenomenon called stress? Something happens in Iran, and having read about it in the morning newspaper, you are already upset before you even have your shower. Anyone living in today's world where the input is so much can identify with Arjuna's problem and ask the same problem, same question. The problem is very well known, as Shankara also confirms. In Arjuna's time, the question was relevant. In Shankara's time, it was relevant. And today, it is relevant. In fact, the nature of the mind being what it is, it will always be relevant. Therefore, one has to know the ways of the mind by paying attention to it and gain a certain mastery. In the next verse, Krishna answers Arjuna's question about how to manage the mind. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamshayam mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. No doubt, O mighty armed Arjuna, the agitated mind is very difficult to control. But, O son of Kunti, by practice and objectivity, it is mastered. This is the evolution that we talked about in chapter 9. The evolution of the mind, of the... So we'll stop here. Tomorrow, if anybody is ready, can present the summary of this verse, the 36th verse. Sorry, 35th verse. But let's just close our eyes and then let's just sum up Arjuna's problem, how he has presented it, and how we are each caught up in that. We're under the, it is the mind controlling us, or are you having a say on your mind? And what is the reason for the mind being what it is? See, for any solution, there's a problem. To get to the solution, you should first understand the problem. So here in these two verses, the reason why the mind is such is so beautifully described. Why it is pramati, why it is balavat, dridam, sudushkaram, to control it. Nigraham sudushkaram manye. Yeah. So let's close our eyes and we can each share our takeaways.
Hari Om. And I love the word that Arjuna was a man of dharma. Bhagavan had rightly said him as Anasuya. He was a man of principle, and that's why he could sleep amidst the chaos also. He could have a good sleep. And compared to him, Duryodhana, who was leading a life of adharma. So before the war, Krishna had gone to explain him. And he knew that he was doing the wrong thing. So he said, I know what I'm doing is not correct. But that vega of Triguna, the Asuri Pravritti, that Maya influence was so much that he could not help but to do the adharma only. So compared to him, I like the innocence of Arjuna, the anasuyatva of Arjuna.
And the thing is, in spite of him being that, the mind is still, even his mind is also still agitated. So it is the nature of the mind. It is not to do with whether you are practicing dharma or adharma. If, of course, a person is practicing adharma, he has even more conflicts. His mind is completely distorted. I mean, it's bundled up into, it's a mess, basically. But a person who is pursuing dharma is fine. I mean, he has less conflicts in his mind. He has no conflicts in his mind. Still, his mind is difficult to control. That's the reason they've contrasted both Arjuna and Duryodhana. But still, because even Arjuna, in spite of being a dharmic person, in spite of being so self-disciplined and having so many achievements, all of that in his kitty, he confesses that his mind is still difficult to control, which makes the fact very clear that stress need not be a factor for agitation. The mind by its own self, by its nature itself, is chanchala. It's like those ripples in the pond, or not in the pond, like the waves in the ocean, they continue to be there. So the mind continues to have those, the agitation.
Yeah, and that was described like that Pramati and
Balavat
Balavat
Dridam.
and Drida, which is how like it could be like tyrant, it has such a control over everything, like
Yeah.
so of course, the senses also feeds into the mind, and then for the senses, the desire, the desire arises, and then to fulfill those things, then it becomes like a cycle. When you're not fulfilled, then it becomes angry and uncontrolled, or you can become sad because that not fulfilled. So those kind of factors again makes people to dwell on I mean uh, dwell on those things. That makes the mind is not quietened, not no shanti in the mind. uh, so this, even people have all kinds of things, like they, in terms of the wealth and everything they have, they still cannot be have peace of mind because of all this, that anger and sadness or jealous, all those qualities kind of put them into like a disappointment, stuff like that. um, in terms of, so those things make them sad, sorry, sanchala mind. So next verse is going to say how to keep that.
Yeah, most
Can you
important.
mhm. Also, I'm sorry, I kind of forgot the sloka, the previous sloka. Can you say what exactly that one was?
But
And in
just
this one, we talked about Pramati, the Balavat, Drida, and the
says, uh,
Chalam Himana.
योऽयं योगस्त्वया प्रोक्तः साम्येन मधुसूदन एतस्याहं न पश्यामि चञ्चलत्वात् स्थितिं स्थिराम्.
Okay, it just is a question that
Yeah, it says, asking, telling me the
Prakash
sameness of the yoga, but I find that it is difficult because the mind is difficult to control.
control. Yeah.
And then he goes on to saying, चञ्चलं हि मनः कृष्ण प्रमाथि बलवदृढं तस्याहं निग्रहं मन्ये वायोरिव सुदुष्करम्. So for Arjuna, who's so cultured, so dharmic, it is sudushkaram. Imagine how it must be for all of us who are
Right.
going, you don't know, so much of muck in there, so much more needs to be cleansed.
Right. So, what is the? Can you read the meaning of the nigraham? Is the tasyagam and nigraham?
Nigraham is control.
Control.
Nigraham is control. Yeah.
Okay, tasya of it. Okay. So, like you cannot. It's so difficult to catch the air in your
And
hand. I think it is difficult to control. It's not
as
not
difficult as it is to control, to hold the air in your hand,
the air
so
in your hand.
yeah.
So that's a simile that was given there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really nice. Even that next sloka, I really like that sloka. Samshayam. Maybe I'll read. No, oh, sorry
Yeah.
about that. Tomorrow I'm going to have to miss the class because I had to go to a party.
No
Yesterday I
problem.
was listening in the car. I couldn't reply to you guys, and I was driving from the temple. I was volunteering, and so it was kind of hard to unmute and talk and all
No
that.
problem.
Uh,
So one of yours can read up this shloka and come up with the summary.
Yeah,
Think,
I want to add something. I want to ask question also.
shall we stop
Mine,
here if you don't mind, Sarlaji?
yeah, tomorrow we can add.
Huh? You hold your
Okay, no
question.
problem.
We'll take
Yeah,
it tomorrow.
thank you.
It is a work day for me and I will have to leave.
No problem.
I
no
don't
problem.
mind continuing, but then we said together we decided we'll keep to time. So we're already 6 minutes beyond. So let's close it here. We please keep your question for tomorrow. You can present it there. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, thank you.